Kevin, ahead of Saturday's game, Mark was talking about the energy and the anticipation. Really great that with the performance and the win, everybody could share in that at the weekend. It was just a really good day.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day, and I think you said it there. The energy and the stadium brought us with a packed house, and the players have been chomping at the bit, as you say, to get the pre-season done, which they've worked really hard, and then obviously try and focus on the match that we had in hand against Oxford. So all round it was a fantastic day, and hopefully many more to come.
And I know it's always a bit of a balancing act with fitness, and you don't expect to have it all done on the opening day. That isn't possible. But from what you saw, are you pleased with the condition of the squad? Did you get to pretty much exactly where you hoped to get to?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of work that's gone on, in the off-season in terms of the periodisation. Lawrence and Bonds, Barry, and all the medical staff have put together, and it's a really good pre-season plan that we've put together, and it's evident, and I said it before, around the level of injuries that was minimal to none really in terms of muscle injuries going into the game. We had a couple of players that joined us a little bit later in terms of joining the club, so they were a bit behind the other players, but I think it's been a really positive pre-season in terms of on the pitch, off the pitch, and everything that we've put in place, and it came to fruition well on Saturday, and we need to continue that going forward.
Yeah, moving on to the League Cup, always an interesting balancing act this first week, in that there's that potential to give other players a touch of the ball, to get other players involved.
Yeah, I think one thing that's been very clear, Ben and Bonds have been working hard in trying to help the group and make sure we've got good depth in as many positions as we can. And I think we've brought that. Look at the bench on Saturday. We had tremendous impact from those substitutes that had a real impact on the game. And there's other players that wasn't in the squad that have been doing very well through pre-season and obviously coming back from injury. And everyone in the group is going to play a massive part into hopefully will be a positive season for us. And yeah, it's a game that we take full respect to Sutton and what they do, and but we've got our own sort of thinking in terms of what we want to do in terms of the game, in terms of how we want to go about it, and making sure that the depth of the squad and players are getting minutes, and there'll be lots of players that wasn't in the starting lineup on Saturday that we will be starting, and that's great for them, and that's great that Bonds trusts every single player within the squad to go and perform and make sure we hit some good minutes into their legs.
Yeah, Mark mentioned that Jordan Cousins is now ready to start. A guy you know particularly well from Wigan last season. Yeah,
Jordan's it's a fantastic signing for the club. He's a top character. He's played Championship football for most of his career. He's so experienced, got loads of quality. He'll complement the other midfield players that we've got in the pool, and he was a bit behind fitness wise because he was hadn't signed compared to the other boys who came in on day one, but slowly every training session and every match that we were able to give him some minutes to, he's coming through it well, and he'll be a great addition to the group.
With Elias Kachunga only arriving last week, is he a bit further behind?
No, Elias has been doing great work to keep himself in good shape when that move for him arrives, and it was for us. We're extremely delighted that we brought him to the club as well. But yeah, he's more than capable of putting in some good minutes for us when required, and it's going to be down to Bonds when he decides to push him into the team and give him that exposure that he needs, because he hasn't had any games pre-season.
Zeno Rossi missed the start of pre-season, having missed a large swathe of last season. How is he getting on? Is he now close to being ready to start again?
Yes, he is. It's great potential. Zeno, we think really highly of him at the club. He's got two experienced centre backs at the moment in Beno and Moro, who's fantastic, and we've also got Gibbs as well, who's doing really well, and Zeno adds to that competition for places, and now hopefully he can stay injury free. He's done really well in training, and hopefully get some minutes on Tuesday, and put him in a good place to kick on his career.
And with some of the younger players, we know the U's have got a really good crop at the moment, and one or two have been pushing close towards the first team anyway. But are we getting to the stage where they're really starting to knock at the door now?
Of course, the football club has been renowned for developing young players and giving them a platform to play and developing all ages of players. Let's not forget the level of players that have played for Cambridge in the last 2 or 3 years that have been in sort of early 20s to mid 20s, but then going on to get fantastic moves. Smith, Lloyd, that was here last season, and that's important, because that's developing all the players that we have. So that's important part of what we do as a club. We know where we are in terms of budget and finance, but we want to develop every single player that comes within our building. And yeah, it's factual. It's happened here, and that's something that we want to continue to do. We've got a great youth set up, and we want to continue to grow that.
And with Sutton, they've had a really good couple of seasons to win promotion and then to establish themselves in League Two. It's been a good couple of years.
Yeah, what I said before, we're going into the game with great respect to Sutton. Our preparation is going to be exactly the same as we go into any game. We know what to expect fully from the game in terms of how they play and how they go about things. And one thing's for sure, that we need to make sure that we're at it from minute one. In that game, because it will be relentless. They'll be very direct in how they play, but very good at it. And we need to match that. As I said, from minute one. If we do that for long spells in the game. We've got enough quality within the squad to have a really good performance. But if we don't do the fundamentals and basics early on in the game and throughout the game, then it'll be a difficult night, because it's their first game at home that they've played in the League Cup, and they'll be up for it. Want to get a scalp League One team, but we'll be fully respectful for what they do and going into the game with confidence, but mindful of if we're not at it, it's going to be a difficult night.
Thanks, Kevin. That's great from me.
Pleasure.
Hi, Kevin. Just on the team news firstly, did everyone come through the game okay on Saturday?
Yeah, yes, we did. There's a couple of little sort of knock where Michael Morrison's got a little gash on his lip, so he might not be available for Tuesday. But everyone else is in good condition and good shape for the game, other than him.
Is Danny Andrew okay? Bond said he came off at the end with a slight issue.
Yeah, he's fine. He had slight crampness in his tightness in his calf, but he's okay. He's fit and available, and but as I said before, there's going to be some changes in the team. We want to give minutes to as many players in the squad. Everyone's ready to play and contribute, like we saw from the substitutes that came on Saturday, and it'll be their opportunity, some of them, to play on Tuesday.
And is Gassan available to play in cup competitions this season, obviously being on loan?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. In terms of cup competitions this season, is the approach generally going to be balancing being as competitive as you can be, going as far as you can be, with obviously making a lot of changes and giving everyone as much game time as you can? Of
course. I mean, we're all very competitive, all the staff and all the players. There's not one single game that we go into thinking, we're going to take this easy, or we've got to be respectful to every single competition that we're in. Cambridge has got a great history of doing well in cup competitions throughout the years, and it's important for the club in terms of it can add some great revenue to us. But fundamentally we have to do very well to stay in this division and be successful. We're mindful of that, but we're going to go into it with every game to try and win. And try and have a good performance. That won't change.
How are you finding life at the club so far as well?
Yeah, it's a fantastic club. Lovely people. It's a great environment to work in. The coaching staff and all the staff around the club have been so welcoming. I'm really thankful to them. The supporters as well. yeah, I couldn't speak highly enough of the football club as a whole. The infrastructure around, you know, is second to none in this division. The training ground, it's nearly complete now. It's beautiful to see a club that has been through some real tough times, but to see where it's at now and what you've built here at the football club over the last 4 or 5 years, and the support that the ownership have given Bonds has been exceptional. And yeah, we're in a really good place at the moment. We always want more. We always want to do better and improve. But as you know, as a community club that we are, and we'll do things, you know, that's sustainable in the right moments. And yeah, I've loved every minute of it so far, and we hope to have many positive days like we did on Saturday.
And just on the coaching side of things as well, are you responsible for any specific areas of training, or do you just do everything, generally a bit of everything?
No, I think you know, we're really clear within our roles. The coaching staff is really tight. We've formed a really good bond in the early stages of pre-season, and you know, we're all really clear on what our roles are. But Barry is responsible for certain aspects of our game model. Very much focuses on set pieces also, along with Martin. But Bonds has the final say around everything. My role is very much part of the in possession. A lot of the play is revolved around that. Obviously, we all have inputs in other areas, and we feed back and we challenge, and we give advice on different situations. But as a collective, we're very much we laser focus on specific areas. You know, if you're too broad, it can get messy, and then your feedback is not as focused. But we also have individual players that we focus on throughout the week, that we're working on and trying to help improve. And yeah, everything's together, everything's aligned and joined up, but we have clear roles in our specific areas.
Are you responsible for anything specific in terms of match preparation as well?
Yeah, without going into too much detail, we try to give Bonds as much clarity and as much less noise as possible, because it can get a bit frantic sometimes in match situations because the emotions of the game and the noise levels. But it's very clear in what we're looking at when we're watching the game, and what our feedback and our points of view, and how clear and how precise they are at half-time, before the game, what that looks like. And as pre-season has evolved and as the first match, we're just trying to get better and better at that. And yeah, it's the less information, but key information is really important. You know, you can't go into the boss and be, here's 6 or 7 things. You know, we're very clear in what our roles and specific areas are to look at and feedback on. So it's 3 points, very clear and focused, and then the same for the other members of the coaching staff. So yeah, it's a good process, and we're working hard to keep improving and getting better.